Hmm.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the RC Action Podcast with myself, Mike San Antonio, and Chuck DeBellin out of Vancouver. How's it going, Chuck?
How's it going? Doing great.
Everything's good as usual over here. I mean,
Everything's
in,
good, but hey, I heard some news in Calgary there. I think it's regarding you.
oh, what did you hear?
Well, I heard something about gracefully stepping aside and letting other people have the chance of running for a certain car company.
Yeah, honestly, I am actually ending my term with Associated and Reedy. To be honest with you, it's been a long thought, and don't get me wrong, the team, the car, the product, everything's great, but once in a while you just need to kind of switch things up and see where it takes you. And I think in my personal race program, I'm kind of like trying to evolve too, and with everything going on in my, let's say, me and my family, because it's really my family, but me and my family's thing, we're trying to evolve our whole deal. And we'll see where it takes us. I'm not 100% sure where I'm going just yet, but a couple of kind of thoughts is where I'm going right now. But it's exciting for me next year. I mean, we'll see what happens. Now is the crazy time where they call it the silly season, I guess. But
Well, yeah, I heard you were in talks with Tyco and you mailed them a void check.
yeah,
So I guess
I'm looking to bring back Tycho into the high end of the hobby. But yeah, honestly, I know a lot of people have been currently waiting on for us, but thanks to Chuck running as fast as he can away from work and getting onto the podcast with me. So Chuck, as usual, thank you.
Oh
I know.
yeah, because I thought you meant 8 o'clock my time, so I'm running on like Vancouver time.
Yeah, man. So lots of things are going to be happening in the near future, but I could say that right now it's kind of all up in the air. But to Team Associated, Reedy, Western Canada Team Associated is probably the best guys I've ever known. It's been awesome. I really didn't get to meet the Eastern side of the team, but it was awesome running for them for a while. And now I think is a change for me and my family, because for me, my wife, and my son, it's kind of like we're trying to evolve ourselves as well. And
Hmm.
it was a hard decision, but hopefully it'll work out at the end.
It's good. That's good.
Yeah,
Good to hear.
yeah. How's weather in Vancouver? I always want to know what weather in Vancouver is like,
Nice and
because
sunny. Good drive home. No problems. No car accidents. No rocks on the highway.
right, right, yeah. Here in Calgary, it's starting to get colder now. It's starting to break actually, and I'm still in the midst of closing down the track. Everybody's helped me with the massive stuff. I got to get the small stuff out of there, but it's the start of the winter season, which means on-road season, which is awesome.
Well, I love the winter solution on Calgary highways. Hey, it's
Right.
snowing. Let's crush rocks and throw them on the ground.
And see what happens to cars and windshields.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's better than the Vancouver solution. Let's just shut down the whole city.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. At least we still live, not like you guys, right? We just put our skis on and take off, right? But yeah, the start of the winter season's here, and I always thought like places like you guys, I guess you guys kind of do it, but there's a lot of cities out there that do like off-road all year or on-road all year. This is kind of nice where we start to stop one part of the hobby and go into another, like, indoor on-road for us in Calgary.
That's really cool. I do miss that, like having the ability to turn it off. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And you know what? Like a lot of us, like I've talked to a lot of people in Calgary, obviously, and we're all excited to get back into the indoor stuff. And, because I haven't touched it in like 6 months or so, it's kind of awesome to kind of like, let's take a break from off road. Let's go on to on road, remember what that's like. And then, 4 or 5 months later, we're going to be like, oh, I can't wait till summertime, but whatever.
Right. How can you say I missed you when you didn't go away?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I've gone to a couple of practices and a couple of club races that we've already started here in Calgary, which is awesome. And people are slowly starting to come back, and Thanksgiving is now over. And all I hear is everybody saying, "Mike, I'm ready to come back." I've actually seen a couple of old guys I haven't seen in years and years and years that have come back to the club and said, "Yeah, I'm on my way back. I need to find stuff." It's a cool feeling when you hear that, because winter, I think, traps everybody indoors, and now we're all aching to find something else to do in the winter, right? So
Yeah.
we don't have the nice weather like you do in Vancouver all the time.
Oh man, a bad winter day is like -10, or sorry,
Right.
+10.
Right, exactly. And I noticed today your shirt. Let's see, sport your shirt to the camera.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Tamiya Championship Series
Hey.
2024.
Look at me.
Oh,
Sporting.
dang.
I am sporting for Vancouver for what's that city again from Blake?
Victoria. That was the
Victoria.
weekend where we ran mini. You, me,
Yes.
and Dave.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Right.
I thought
I just gotta remember that one because I beat both of you on that day. I remember it now.
Yeah, of course you would remember that. Yeah. You have to keep that one. I know you have to keep that one.
That's the one. That's the one.
That's the one you're gonna hold me to it. Yeah. And what's racing like down there right now?
The first indoor off-road race is this weekend, so that'll be fun.
Nice carpet.
And we've been racing indoor on-road for a month now, so that's been great. Yeah.
Right. And that's carpet, right?
Oh, it's black carpet on indoor on-road, and for off-road, it's like an office-style carpet. So we're using pin tires. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. And your jumps, what are they like made of for that?
I believe that's a mixture, like thin plywood and styrofoam. So they're small jumps, but they're consistent, which is nice.
Right,
Like there's no degradation like a dirt jump.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
you know
it's
what?
maybe 2 feet tall maximum. So
Yeah.
rather than jumping high, you're jumping far.
Yes, correct. It's funny. I watched, like, I think one of the big events in the States on carpet, and they were all like a super train where all the pros were 1, 2, 3, right till 10. And it was amazing to watch because you see it in on-road all the time, but in off-road, it is kind of like another journey where you're also adding jumps to the whole thing, right?
It's for me, it's a lot like touring car with jumps.
Yeah.
It's touring car with jumps. Whereas when I play e-buggy in the summertime, it's so different from touring car. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. and here in Calgary, Edmonton's very fortunate. They've got a carpet track kind of running all year round. So shout out to Randy Van and Jeremy Letke out of Edmonton and the whole crew down there. But here in Calgary, we are focusing back onto on-road carpet back at Car, which is cool. For those of you out of town or what have you, ATS November 22nd weekend is coming up. And I know, Chuck, we've had conversations on the side. I hope you and the Vancouver crew is coming out to ATS. I know you guys are looking at flights and stuff like that, but hopefully you guys can make it. I don't know how that's working out, but ATS seems to be one of our big ones at the beginning for on-road for Calgary or for Western Canada anyway.
Absolutely.
And it plans to be pretty big again, which is cool. So I think more of the news is going to break out on Monday, but FYI, November 22nd at 24.
I'm looking forward to it. Hey, did Hagberg get his invitation?
No, he did not. No, he did not. No, he did not. Yeah, we decided to not let him in this year, so we'll see
Okay,
what happens. Yeah, yeah.
that's cool.
I I know, Chuck. You and I have talked about which we were talking about last episode. March, obviously, Toronto with the Canadian. I forget what they call that race there
It's the
for us.
Canadian Nats. That's
The
what it's
Canadian
been called for
Nats.
a while. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So
that's a big race, and I'm looking forward to trying to make that race. Like
yeah,
last time I talked to you and Faraz, it was just like it sounds like the race to go to.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. So, viewers listening to us, man, hopefully we all make it out. And I know, I'm gonna beat you, Chuck. I'm gonna be at one of these races, but you got to make sure you enter the same class as me and not jump into a sportsman buggy and leave me in the dust in that class,
and
right?
and then make the A main and then miss my A main because I'm eating dinner.
That's right. Yeah, eating Chinese food with me because I lost my main and I got to go home early. But yeah, I mean, winter season's coming up and stuff like that, and I thought with in car we're getting a lot of new people, which is awesome. And I think being and as much as I've been in the hobby for so long, I kind of forget the new side of things and how it is to be a new guy and what you're going through. So I thought, and I asked Chuck, to come up with 5 important winter season things, your top 5 that is most important. So maybe let's get to our list and let's see where we go. What was your number 5 on your list?
Yeah, so I honed in specifically on a certain aspect,
Right.
um, and yeah, number 5 on my list. It's gonna be. See if you can see that. Oh, the glare is horrible. 1 second. Sorry, technical difficulties. Okay, number 5 is. Whoa, 1 second.
The glare is still bad.
I know.
I
There
can
you
make
go.
the shape out. There it is. Yes. Yes.
There
The
you go.
super glue.
Tire glue.
Yes. Yes.
Specifically, this
Right.
is CA glue, but it's specific for tires. What
Right.
makes it specific is it's a medium compound.
Right.
Um, too many of the glues out there are too thin. They flow nice and smooth, but that's not what you want. It's not going to create a good, strong enough bond.
Right.
So this stuff has been specifically formulated to be thick enough, but thin enough to spread. So thick
Right.
enough to be strong, thin enough to spread, and it's also flexible, which is key because a lot of super glue isn't flexible. So
Right.
orange Bob Smith glue.
Yeah, it's funny, a lot of people, as some of you may know, a lot of people have asked me like what glue I use. I actually use the same exact glue, whether it's gluing tires on an off-road buggy or doing sidewalls on a pre-mounted tire on road. I always use the same glue because, to be honest with you, the Bob Smith stuff for me has been always like dead on. And I know people have asked me for the Proline stuff, and I forgot there's another company, but they've asked me for all kinds of stuff. But I've always found that the Bob Smith stuff that you actually show, I have like 2 bottles.
100%. This
Is the
is great
best.
stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, like I distributed this across Canada for like a
Right.
year,
Right.
so like I'm a little biased towards it.
Right.
It works really well, and
Right.
there's nothing that compares to it. Gorilla doesn't compare to it. Before that, I was using Proline and Orca glue.
Right.
Really good, easy to work with because it was thin, but
Yeah.
at the same time, it didn't have the same adhesion. A lot of people who use that stuff in 8 scale e-buggy or
Yeah.
even nitro buggy,
Yeah.
the most common thing is the rubber separates from the wheel.
Right.
Right. That's why you want a thicker glue, something medium or something even thicker than that. The problem is when you get thicker than that, it's harder to work with.
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah, and I guess for me, my number 5 was the scissors, and it's that to me a scissor as well. Like
okay, so are those straight or are they
these are
curved?
the curve. So the
Okay.
curve. The only reason why, obviously, is because I see it all the time when people put on new bodies. The clearance when you hit the track is different when you were setting it up in your pit table.
Yeah.
And for me, that's why I was always kind of like about the curve, and I know which I'm not supposed to do with these, but that's why I have like 2 or 3 versions of these same curved. But sometimes I use them to split wires when I'm desperate at the track, or cut something off at the track. But the scissors has been my number 5 got to go to into your toolbox for on-road winter season, just because it does so many things. But the important part of the curve, obviously, is the curve of the body when you start to cut over to the wheel wells, right?
They also are very good for opening bags of potato chips when you're
Yeah,
hungry.
or the Oreo cookies. I know.
Or the
Yeah.
Oreo cookies. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, that
And
should have been my number 5, the Oreos. Right there, Oreo cookies. I got a thing with Blake. Every time I see Blake, I'm giving him like a package of Oreo thin vanilla cookies.
hilarious.
Sorry, that's a
Oh
thing
my
that we do. I haven't seen him in a while, but yeah, I have to load up on thin vanilla Oreo cookies.
And so, what was your number 4?
Number 4, let's see if I
Yeah.
got it here. Okay, so along the similar lines of glue, for tires, of course, you don't want to use this directly on your tire. So
Right.
I've done videos of this already on my channel at 2MMRC. You got to
Okay.
use that dispenser.
Right.
There's a couple different ways. You can use like a plastic tip, just the tip that goes right over it, and then just squirt it. Or you can use this, which I like because it's actually a metal applicator, so it's more durable. I can just put it in there and then let it flow.
Right.
Yeah. So that's really key because as a newbie in the past, I've tried putting the end of my super glue bottle directly onto the tires and the wheels, and it's not a good end result.
Yeah. Yeah. Mine always gets like built up of the over glue, especially when you're doing the sidewalls of the on-road tire.
Yeah.
On the tip. I know exactly what you're talking about.
This is why I like the metal one, because with the metal one, I can just heat it up with a lighter or a torch, and it just evaporates. It's gone.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Whereas
Yeah.
with the plastic one, you're constantly chopping it, and until you got nothing left to chop.
Yeah, until it's a massive hole that just spills on your paper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why I like these. They're available in all sorts of places, like an art supply store. I got these off of AliExpress. So
Right.
yeah.
Interesting.
So
Okay. Well,
that's
my
my
number 4. Yeah, my number 4 was this puppy. And for those of you who don't know about it,
That's an oven?
no, it's a discharger. An oven? What do you always with cookies you're thinking about? The reason why this is getting more and more important, I would say, is a lot of us are talking about maintenance on the battery and keeping your battery. And for those of you who don't know, like on the newer side of things, the constant that your battery is left at full charge, the worse the battery is, and the less longevity you're going to be able to get out of the tire. Or sorry, out of the battery. I don't even know why I said tire. But that's been kind of my go-to, even for off-road. Like there's some days where, for example, I charge my batteries maybe the morning of, and then we get to the venue and it's a rain delay. And, for example, Edmonton last year, we had massive rain delays, and, keeping your batteries at full charge is really the worst to the longevity of the battery. So a discharger's been my number 4 at this time right now.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good. Definitely. It helps too because it keeps your batteries in condition. You never want to keep a fully charged battery lying around.
What was your number 3?
Along the same line of tires, after you've glued them, whether you glue them directly or whether you're using the little squeeze bottle,
Right.
I like using this thing.
Right.
So it's tire sander.
Okay.
I started to use this a lot because I've made videos on how to glue sidewalls really easily. You just draw the circle and then you do the thing.
Yeah.
That's going to give you between 61 and 62.
I still use the Chuckway.
I do too. And that's going to give me a 61, 62.
Right.
This year, for the last month, I've been using this to grind down my sidewalls, and I notice a difference when I go between 61 and 57. 50 between 57 and 61 seems to be the sweet spot,
Right.
and I can do that very, very precisely with something like this. You put the tire on there once it's all hardened and crusty,
Yeah.
and then you start with if your wheel is balanced. If your wheel is not balanced, you got another problem.
Right. Right. Right.
Right? But then you just start filing it, and then you use your calipers to check. This is awesome. This is a game changer because it's giving me a lot of added traction in the front. My last race, I finished top 5 in the A main in touring stock. So this is going to be part of my game plan going forward.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
If there's too much bite, stay with 61, 62, which is just flat on the paper.
Right.
Just go like that.
Yeah.
Like that. But then if you want a little more front traction, grind away a millimeter using something like this, and it's fantastic.
Interesting. I've never thought of grinding out the sidewall a little bit. You ever use that to grind your tires, like brand new tires, to break them in?
Actually, I haven't had to this year. I thought I was going to use this for that, but I started using a new treaded tire for USGT scale spec.
Right.
And they break in a lot faster.
Right. Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah. Like just so you know, like that might have been like my part number 6, I guess. Rather than trying the ride tire this winter, I've been trying the Rush tire, and
right.
The one that I'm using is it's packaged by Express.
Right.
And it seems to have similar performance. I don't have to wait for the break-in, and I don't have to sand it down. That's what I noticed the biggest difference.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and that's a biggie, right? That's a biggie part too, is that breaking in a tire can be so well, first of all, aggravating on a Friday of a 3-day race, because you're trying to get ready and get the track's coming up, you're breaking in tires, you're trying to figure out if your setup's right because you're from out of town. It's like all these things come crashing to you on one day. The quicker the tires can break in, the better, right?
That's right. We want results, and we want them now.
That's right. As much as
now.
If I can order it from Amazon, I should be able to order results from Amazon too, right? My number 3, and speaking for me, like my sight is just getting worse and worse, has been pit lights. Pit lights is kind of like number 1 at these indoor events, because some of the lighting in some of the venues can be either pretty good or pretty bad. I know when we go to Kamloops, and I love Kamloops, it's pretty bright there, but it was bright for a field, but not for when you're concentrating on like a 2 millimeter part, right? And then I'm getting blinder and blinder by the second. So the pit light was my number 3. That it's a go-to.
Now the pit lights that you're using, are they AC or do you plug them into DC?
So yeah, that's a good question. To be honest with you, at Car, because I leave all my stuff there, it's a plug-in, and then when I go to away games, I would call it, I bring my my Sky RC one that can plug into a power supply, or in actuality it plugs into my charger, because my charger has a 12-volt supply. So that way kind of everything's there, and it's smaller than what I have at Car, because you're lugging so much stuff to an away game, right?
Yeah.
And compact is always been the best for me.
That's very true. Yeah.
Yeah. What was your number 2?
Okay, my number 2, same theme, to grind down that tire once it's on the tire sanding spinner.
Right.
A file. And this is simply like let me see if I can get you to see it. It's a dollar store file. It's really like you get 2 of these for $1 at Dollarama.
Right.
So, it's nothing fancy, but at the same time, I'd like to get something that's probably going to be a bit more constant, because I don't know if this is 100 grit or 400 grit. Sometimes they fluctuate because it's Dollarama.
Right.
If someone could bring to market something where it's consistently, I know I'm getting 100 grit, that would be awesome.
Let me ask you a question. How do you feel about shopping around the makeup area at the Dollarama?
I do it all the time.
Of course
I do
you
it all
do.
the time, man. All the time. You know, when people ask me, by the way, could you tell me where the nail polish is? Oh, it's right over there. Yeah, right. No, man. I know.
Now, I'll tell you my number two. My number two is this puppy right here. It's
Oh,
a
the cocaine
scale.
scale. Nice.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You know, and it's going to run into my number one, but I know a lot of people use it for diffs, adding weights, figuring out, how much weight I need to add or get it right on the line of, because, in on-road, we don't have that many, let's say specifications on a car where, this in on-road comes in super handy. For weighing out weights and things like that, making sure your car's at your final, weigh-in scale, and sometimes it's even adding parts and stuff like that, and trying to figure out where am I going to be if I need to take out or add to my car. So
Have you tried buying 4 of them?
I actually, to be honest with you, one of our Calgary guys, John Kwong, he made, and that's the reason why he was the one who actually pushed me to get this. He made a balancer that is kind of like, I would say, stationary on the back, and you need to put 2 on the front to weigh your car and see if the balance is left to right. And it actually works really, really, really well.
Okay.
So yeah, I do have 2 of them. I didn't buy 4 of them, but I do have 2 of them for that purpose.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, yeah.
Very cool.
And what was your number one?
Number one, it's still related to tires, but not about prep and sanding. Most of us will use tire compound, whether it's going to be SXT or TDK or Paragon. No, nobody uses that anymore.
No, yeah, maybe you. That's why I got a headache at the last time you came with me.
But I noticed the bingo dabber on all of those. It just puts on too much, and a lot
Yes,
of it gets wasted. So
right,
you end up with a messy table, and you end up going through your traction compound really, really quickly because it's
right,
just wasted.
right.
So I've been doing this for a few years now, and it's been working really well. I've been using a paintbrush.
Interesting. Okay.
So just a regular paintbrush.
Yeah.
It's at the aisle next to all the manicure stuff on Dollarama. So it's
Right. Again, in that section. Yeah, I get
there
it.
you go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So a paintbrush, and again, if anything, having a paintbrush that was a bit more, I guess, durable would be nice because these are just like dollar store paintbrushes. But anyways, by putting this into the bottle and then applying it onto the tire, I'm able to cover most of the tire in one go. And at the same
Really?
time, after my second turnaround, I've done the entire tire and I haven't wasted any traction compound.
Right.
So this is like a super ghetto tune way of maximizing your compound.
Yeah, but you know what? I was actually talking to somebody because they right now I've been as far as traction compound, I've been into the much more Volante stuff.
Yeah.
And it comes in in that dabber you're talking about, but the dabber really works really, really well.
Is
Okay.
it the bingo dabber or is it that stick with a cotton ball at the end of it?
It is like it's a weird oval actually at the end. And if you've ever seen the Orca dabbers, it's exactly like the Orca dabber.
Okay,
Um
yeah. So
yeah,
it's an actual proper bingo dabber, which is
yeah,
nice because
yes.
it'll do exactly what this does, but it'll do it a lot cleaner.
Yes, yes. And that's the thing. Because I noticed with SXT, it's all over my table, all
Yeah,
over my setup board.
100%.
It's disgusting, and not to the point where I'm disgusted by it, but dude, I just want a clean pit board. I come to on road to be nice and neat and tidy to a point, and off road is like just a dirty mess that you're just
Yeah.
in a mud pit all day, you know. And for me, it's like like that dabber or that applier is probably one of the best I've seen. But it's interesting you say about that paint thing. I've never thought of that.
The
And
paintbrush works, but yeah, the
yeah,
dabber is good because it's instant. You got the traction compound ready to go right there,
right.
and anything is better than having that wire with a giant wad of cotton at the end of it.
Yeah,
Because the last thing I want is for you to put all that traction compound on my pit board, the one that you still have.
that's right. The
You
one that
still
I
have
still
my pit
stole.
board. I
That's right.
haven't forgotten that.
That's the exact one I actually use because of that purpose. I'm like, okay, I'm bringing out 12 scale. That board's coming with me because I got to spill SXT all over a pit board. It's going to be your board that I stole.
I had this awesome pit board, and I think I must have left it at Mike's place or something 10 years ago, and he still has it and he still uses it.
But I always make you see it as soon as
Oh, yeah.
you come back into the city, and you forget about it again as soon as you take off. It's awesome. It's awesome. I love that board. But yeah, as people were asking me, but Mike, the Volante much more stuff or the Orca bottle, I know the Orca bottle is the same design, is much smaller. I don't get that much of SXT. And I'm like, dude, half of the stuff is on your pit table. Just FYI, it's not even on your tires, right?
Exactly.
And the other thing I was telling another newer guy was the most effective, and I actually learned this from TDK, but the most effective is when the tire begins to dry. So that stuff, when you pour it on with that little dabber from SXT, when you spill it on, all that stuff that's going onto your pit table is absolute waste. Do you know what I mean? It's overdone and over waste. And that's the thing. And I noticed now when I do my testing with the traction compounds is I let them dry completely, and you watch the difference when you first get on to do your hot laps, and how quickly the tire comes up when it dries properly, right?
That's why too many people, they go on with tires that are too wet. Yeah, they wipe them off, but they haven't evaporated. So
Right.
they haven't really got that stickiness yet. It's going
Yes,
to take another lap or two to get that stickiness. But in
That's
the meantime, they got these railroad tracks
yes.
just on the carpet.
Yeah, that's right. I remember the corner, for those of you in car, the corner, bottom corner where we all enter through the like up to the driver's stand. A couple years ago, that thing used to look like train tracks coming out of that corner, because all of us drop our cars there, and that's where we all take off from. And it's bad. It was really bad. But now with the black carpet, thank goodness, you see it a little bit, but not that much, right?
So
And yeah, my number one, which I'm gonna bring on here, it's my newest kind of get, but you can see this, absolute, I promise, game changer. I tried it on 8 scale buggies because one of our local guys was asking me, Mike, does it work for 8 scale buggies? And yes, you can get an adapter for this. So for those of you who don't know, this is a real balancer. Unfortunately, I don't have it plugged, but you can always, ask me if you want to see it and stuff like that. But there's a lot of videos. But it actually tells you how much, and this is why it leads into this other part, the scale, how much weight to put on the tire and where the heaviest is. So it's essentially like a real tire balancer. And it's been absolutely amazing. So I tried it on buggy. For those of you guys who do off-road, man, crazy. Like you could see truggies just, and I haven't tried it on a truggy tire, and it doesn't say it has the capabilities of a truggy tire, but it does work for buggy. And in buggy, you would actually see your arms, especially in nitro, when everybody's warming up and revving up the motors, all the arms are just going crazy, and you're just like, that guy's tire's way out of balance. And so I tried it for buggy, and the number one class for me in on road is mod. And I tried it on my mod car, and I could actually hold my mod car, and you wouldn't feel any vibrations. And if you think about the vibrations when you hit that full tilt, man, that thing throws off your car like crazy, right? And another guy I was talking to today, actually one of our local club guys, he said, Mike, actually, they found in go-karting, they're balancing their tires because it's actually helping with the drive of the vehicle, and because you're actually driving. But at the end of the day, we're also trying to figure out, why is the car messed up? Why am I feeling all,
Yeah.
weird? Like, why is it all? And now it could be like, I'm thinking it's the balance of tires. And so for me, it's been a massive game changer for me in mod and in thing. But I never really thought about stock and USGT. But after talking to one of the guys today, I said, man, maybe it's going to do a difference there too, right? The imbalance of tires is massive. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
I just do it. I do it the other way. Like if it's not balanced right out of the package,
right,
I just get
right.
another package. It's like, no, this one's not good. Okay, I'm buying another set.
Well, the other conventional one, which I've had for years, is where if you haven't seen it before, you kind of put it on this
And pins.
bearing type. Yes, a bearing type shaft. For those of you who don't know about it, and what you have to do is spin it, and hopefully you catch what you think you see is the heavy spot. And I've sat there and balanced, buggy tires as an example, and I'm like, man, was that enough? Am I guessing enough? Is it? I don't know. Who knows? You know what I mean? So I like this. It's a lot more accurate, and I got to see and learn a lot about tires just by balancing them, because a lot of the tires actually showed me I needed either nothing for on road or zero point 0.2 of a ounce or gram, I think
Can
it
you
is.
imagine if you went to an actual tire shop, like for your real car, and the mechanic's just like, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think they still do that. Don't get me wrong, but man, that's where you go. Like, I'm out of here. I'm quickly out of here because I'm ready to just. Oh, this guy's
Yeah,
gonna make me drive on rocks all day.
I've paid you to balance my tires, and you're just doing this like, you know,
It's free wheel
yeah,
spinning, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
looks
just
good. Don't worry about it, right? Yeah. Okay.
yeah. So it's been for me. It's been the massive game changer for me, and going into indoor now. Like, it's pretty vital in off road, but man, is I think it's going to be vital in on road too, and it could certainly change the game of a lot of people out there, and get away from like weird setup issues that maybe the balance of tires. Who knew? Who even knows?
Very
You
true.
know?
Very
Yeah,
true. Yeah. So
I can't wait for running indoor season. What are you running for indoor season now?
I am running 21.5 touring stock, and that's going to be my express car. That's the
Okay,
XQ11, right?
right,
And then for scale spec, which is 21.5 fixed timing, I'm running my TA08 right now, and that is an interesting car. There's so much flex in a TA08. There's no top deck,
right,
right? And
right,
I just recently released a video about how to get more performance out of a fixed timing motor. We're not breaking any rules.
right,
We're just getting more out of what you got.
right, right, right. Yeah, that's awesome. Man, you're gonna be bringing back Tamiya. I like that.
Oh yeah, that's right. And from time to time, I'll run the Tamiya spec class. That's right, the
Right,
TTO2 spec class, which has to run a Reedy fixed timing motor.
right,
I really like those Reedy fixed timing motors. So one thing to realize, a lot of the fixed timing motors out there only have 30 degrees of timing. Like the
right.
Gravity motor only has 30 degrees of timing.
Mhm.
Other motors have 45. When you compare a 45 degrees of timing versus 30 degrees of timing, there's a world of difference between the two. Just,
Right,
you know, it sounds like it's revving higher because it is revving higher.
right,
So that's something to be aware of if you're going to a fixed timing motor, right? Not all fixed timing motors are the same. I just did a video. I got this AliExpress motor for like under $50, and it's not even 30 degrees of timing.
wow, Jesus,
Yeah.
that's
So
crazy.
it's cheap, low cost motor, but at the same time, low yield of performance.
Right.
Right. So,
What?
but we'll see how it turns out. I mean, I was able to squeeze more performance out of it doing some of the tricks that I have in my video.
I think that comes with the territory a little bit. I mean, if you buy cheap, you can't expect too much either, right?
I don't know. You could. I mean, I remember beating you with a cheap car.
Ooh, here we go. Here we go. This is why I need you to come back to ATS. I'm gonna be I'm gonna be running the Awesomatics again for on road. Awesomatics for me has been it's been amazing. It's been a great car. I know I'm keeping an eye out on the Maker car as well. That car looks pretty interesting as well. But I know you've been convincing me or trying to convince me to try the Express car, which is another cool looking car, and one of our local guys I think is driving it, and it looks good. It looks really good. But yeah, the Express car I think is a car that is good budget friendly, but it's still super duper competitive. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's two lines to it. There's the sport lineup, which is a fiberglass car. That one's like, 200, $300 tops.
Right.
Right. And then there's the higher end stuff like the XQ11, the Hara. That stuff is like the higher end stuff, and that's appropriately priced.
Right.
So definitely, I think Express hit it really well by having a sport level lineup, because a lot of guys that are starting out in the C main, they don't need a car that's got the aluminum chassis with carbon fiber all over the place.
So true. Yeah. There's a couple new guys that are coming to car, and I'm like, it doesn't matter what car you have, even if it's an old car, bring it down. Just get on the track, get your feel of if you like it, then start thinking about moving forward. It doesn't mean
that's what I recommend. Buy new as well. I mean, you won't get a true feel of the car unless you build it.
That's true. That's very true.
If I sell you my car, that's my setup.
Right. And one thing is, don't sell your transponders.
Never.
No.
Never.
That's a big no-no in Chuck's world.
Never ever.
Yeah. I got too many transponders. I feel like selling them to Vancouver guys just so that you can see me check in when I come to Vancouver.
Oh man.
So again, I know our time's coming up. Thank you, Chuck, again for being on the podcast. Any last words, Chuck?
Yeah, if you can find Tamiya paint, buy it, because it's gone.
Right.
It is gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, in case you haven't heard, Tamiya paint is no longer currently distributed to retailers.
Yeah.
That may change in the future, but as of right now, there is no Tamiya paint. If you don't have Tamiya paint, you're gonna have to use Jiffy markers or something. There's other brands out there of paint, but try Jiffy markers and see how you like it. I don't know.
The paint, the Tamiya paint is now the toilet paper at Costco. All of us are hoarding it as badly as we can.
So I work in a hobby store, and when that news came out, as soon as the doors opened, there was like half a dozen people who bought handfuls of paint, and I'm like, God damn it, I wish I took some before I opened the doors.
Yeah, I know one of a close buddy of ours that we both know, who's always into painting, is Raz. He went around Calgary and started buying up everybody's paint that he could find. That was
Did he put it on Marketplace for $50 a can?
No, he won't do that stuff. He's hoarding it for himself.
I know what I got.
Yeah. No, he's hoarding it for himself. It's like a Costco toilet paper situation, man.
It is.
Yeah.
But with that said, there is another alternative for aerosol cans in Canada. There's no more Parma. There's no more Pactra.
Yeah.
But there is On Point. So that's a very good paint as well. Just make sure that you're not spraying it in sub-zero weather.
Really?
Yeah.
What happens to it in sub-zero weather?
It doesn't perform as well. And we've in the past, having worked at the distributor, shipping paint across Canada in the wintertime was always a big no-no, just because it's not good. And if you try to spray it in the wintertime as well, you don't have the pressure. So
Right.
do it indoors. Keep your
Right.
windows closed. Lock the doors. No,
Turn
don't
off
do
all
that.
the fans.
Yeah, turn off all the fans. That's right. No,
Oh God, Chuck, you're gonna
right.
get me in trouble here. You're gonna get me totally in trouble here.
But seriously, the alternative right now, which is actually very, very, it could yield really good results, is to airbrush.
Yeah. Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Airbrushing will produce a very good body, and if you haven't tried it, right now is a great time to try it because you can get all sorts of airbrushes. You can get Iwatas if you really want to get an Iwata compressor. That's specifically made for the hobby, but I mean, Canadian Tire sells like a $50 special. It's like a cheapo airbrush and a compressor,
Right.
right?
Right.
It's under the MotoMaster brand. So that's perfectly fine, especially if you're not going to do any detail work,
Yeah.
right? And then once you're comfortable, yeah, buy the Iwata and see how you like it.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, and I'm just thinking about like I honestly 5-6 years ago I started using airbrush, and I'm like no professional painter at all, but I noticed the work that I do, I end up taking that small bottle and it lasts me. Oh my God, I think I'm on one of the bottles for 2 years now, and I've
That
painted
was the
so
biggest
many
thing.
orange bodies.
That was the biggest thing with aerosol cans. There's
Yeah.
only a small amount of paint. Most of the other contents is all aerosol,
Right. Right.
right? And that's the stuff that's not healthy.
No, exactly.
Whereas when you're spraying airbrush, you're using the air inside your house compressed and blown. It's completely safe unless
Yeah.
you're spraying it directly into your nose.
Yeah. Chuck, again, these things, you can't tell these people these things, man.
Don't spray airbrush into your nose. Don't do it.
Okay.
It's
Don't
not good.
don't spray airbrush into your nose, right? Don't sell your transponders, just crush it, right?
Yep,
That's been our other
absolutely.
closer, right? Oh man, you're killing me with these things. I can't believe it. Well, Chuck, again, thank you very much. Again, ATS November 22nd here in Calgary. You guys got a race coming up. You said, sorry, just mention it again.
Yeah, so our first off-road race is this weekend, and the big off-road trophy race is second weekend of November. So that'll be fun too.
Do us a favor, take a video, a couple of videos, and that way we can post it on the podcast too, and you know, check it out and talk about that too.
Cool. I'll do that, and I'll also probably post a video on my channel as well.
Yeah. And what is your channel? Just put it out there again.
2MMRC. That's
Yeah.
right.
I'll be honest with you guys. Chuck sends me the newest video all the time, and he sends it to one of our friends, Dave's, as well. And it's awesome. If you guys want to pick up little hits of tricks and tips, it's good to learn off Chuck because it takes a lot of frustration out. I'll tell you, I use his gluing method, and it's awesome. I swear by it. I tell people it, and once I show it to people, they're like, "Yeah, Mike, I'm doing it this way from now on." It's awesome. UMMRC, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Everybody, thank you again for tuning in, and we'll see you again. We are as today we are moved our channel or our time slot to Thursdays only because honestly I practice Tuesday and Wednesday, so we have to move it to Thursday, and Thursday is why we moved it to Thursdays. So
$30 each. I know what I got. $30.
all right, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in. This is RC Action Podcast. Thank you, Chuck.
All right. See ya.